It all began the way every summer holiday should. Bright skies, restless laughter, and plans that felt endless. We had just finished another school year, and nothing seemed more exciting than escaping the city for a few days. A camping trip in the mountains. That was our idea of freedom. Tents, firewood, the cold air of the forest, and no adults to tell us what to do. We thought it would be just another adventure, one of those memories we'd laugh about when we were older. But looking back now, I realized this was the last time life felt safe. The bus ride to the mountains felt endless, but finally we reached the last stop. A lonely road swallowed by thick trees. As we stepped off, stretching our legs, an old man appeared, as if out of nowhere. His clothes were worn, his eyes sharp and heavy with years. He looked at us for a long time, almost as if he recognized us. Then, in a low voice, he said, "Don't stay in the forest when the mist comes. People vanish here. The mist takes them." We laughed it off, nudging each other, pretending we weren't spooked. But a silence hung in the air after his words. None of us admitted it, but we all felt a chill run down our spines. The first evening felt almost magical. We had set up our tents on a clearing near the edge of the forest, where the trees leaned close together, their crowns locking out the last rays of sunlight. The fire cracked cheerfully, sparks flying into the air like restless stars. We roasted food, laughed at silly jokes, and tried to scare each other with ghost stories. Everything felt like the perfect beginning of a harmless adventure. But then, the forest went quiet. It was sudden, unnatural. No rustle of leaves, no chirping of crickets, not even the distant call of an owl. Only silence, so heavy it pressed on our chests. One of my friends joked, "Guess the forest doesn't like us." We all laughed, but our voices sounded too loud, like they didn't belong here. I remember glancing into the dark tree line, and for just a moment, I thought I saw something move between the trunks. A shadow, too tall and too thin to be a man. When I blinked, it was gone. I told myself it was nothing, just my eyes adjusting to the night. But somewhere deep inside, a thought whispered. The old man's warning wasn't a story. It was a truth we had stepped into without knowing. It began as a thin veil at the edge of the trees, like breath on glass. At first, we thought it was just the cool air settling in, a harmless mountain fog. But this mist was different. It crept low across the ground, curling around roots and stones, swallowing the firelight inch by inch. The forest, already too quiet, seemed to hold its breath. The mist moved like it had a will of its own, coiling and twisting, as if searching for something. For us, I remember staring into it and seeing shapes. Not solid, not clear. Just suggestions of figures. Some hunched, others standing tall, unmoving, waiting. My friend whispered, "Do you see them too?" His voice trembled, and that was when I realized I wasn't imagining it. The mist reached the fire, dimming its glow until the flames looked distant, weak, like they were trapped behind glass. We huddled closer, trying to laugh it off, but no one dared speak too loudly. And then, from deep within the fog, came the sound. Not the rustle of animals, not the snap of branches. It was footsteps. Slow, deliberate, echoing on soil that should have swallowed all sound. The old man's warning returned to me in a flash. Don't stay when the mist comes. But it was too late. The mist was already here. We tried to pretend nothing was wrong. We sat closer to the fire, feeding it with every branch we could find, as if the flames alone could hold back the creeping mist. But fear makes people restless, and that's when Sasha stood up. "I'll get more wood," he said. His voice was too casual, too forced. We all knew he just wanted to move, to escape the suffocating circle of silence. Minutes passed, then half an hour. At first, we laughed, calling after him, shouting jokes into the fog. But the laughter cracked too quickly, swallowed by the night. When we tried to follow his trail, there was nothing, no broken twigs, no footprints in the damp soil. As if he had never been there at all. Only one thing remained, his flashlight. We found it lying on the ground, still on, its beam cutting through the mist. But the light didn't feel right. It bent strangely, as if the fog was drinking it in. "Maybe he's messing with us," someone whispered, though no one believed it. The truth hung heavy in the air. Sasha was gone, taken. And yet, from deep inside the mist, we swore we heard him calling back. His voice, familiar, but stretched, hollow, like it was coming from far underwater. "Guys, over here." None of us moved. That night, none of us dared to sleep. We sat huddled around the dying fire, staring into the mist, waiting for Sasha to return. Every shadow between the trees felt alive. Every gust of wind sounded like a voice. And then, the whispers began. At first, it was faint. A trick of the wind, we told ourselves. But the words grew clearer. They weren't random noises. They were names. Our names. "Maxime, come here. Dennis, this way. Yura, don't be afraid." The voices sounded exactly like people we knew. Our parents, our friends from school, even Sasha. Especially Sasha. His voice was the loudest. "Guys, it's me. I'm fine, follow me." But there was something wrong in those voices. They stretched unnaturally, like echoes in a tunnel. Too slow, too hollow. And underneath them was another sound. A low, wet rasping, like breathing through water. Dennis stood up, trembling, whispering, "That's him. That's Sasha. We can't leave him out there." But when he took a step toward the mist, the whispers all stopped at once. The silence that followed was worse than the voices. And then, from right behind the nearest tree, a whisper so close it brushed our ears. "He's waiting for you." We spun around. Nothing. Only the fog, curling like pale fingers, reaching closer. At dawn, we couldn't take it anymore. The fog had thinned just enough for us to see the path again, and we decided to move. Anywhere, as long as it wasn't here. The forest was still. Too still, and the deeper we went, the more it felt like the trees were guiding us, funneling us toward something. After hours of walking, we stumbled out of the woods and into a clearing. And there it was. A village. At least it used to be. The houses leaned crookedly, roofs caved in, windows black and hollow like empty sockets. No birds, no animals, not even insects. Just silence, heavy as a coffin lid. We crept through the dirt road between the ruined houses, our voices hushed without meaning to. And then we saw it, on the wall of the largest building, scratched deep into the wood. The mist takes. There is no way back, the letters weren't old. The edges of the cuts were fresh, splintered, as if someone had carved them just hours ago. And then, the air shifted. The mist didn't roll in from the forest this time. It seeped up from the ground, crawling out from the cracks in the earth, from the black windows, from inside the houses themselves. One by one, the doors creaked open, though there was no wind. And from the shadows within, figures began to move. Too many. Their faces were blurred, featureless, but every one of them turned toward us. Not a single one blinked. That night, we set up our tents at the far edge of the ruined village, too afraid to go back into the forest, too afraid to stay among the hollow houses. The silence was suffocating. Not even the wind dared to move through this place. We lit a small fire, though it felt useless. Its glow barely reached beyond our circle. The mist crept around the edges of the camp like a living wall, curling and shifting, but never crossing the firelight. At least, not yet. Hours crawled by. One by one, my friends dozed off, though their sleep was restless, broken by twitching and muffled whimpers. I stayed awake, staring at the thin fabric of the tent, listening to the unnatural quiet. And then, I saw them. At first, just faint shadows, pressed against the tent's thin walls. Faces. Dozens of them. Some large and close, others small and far, but all pale, featureless, as though carved from wax. They hovered just beyond the fabric, their outlines shifting in the glow of the fire. I held my breath, convinced it was my imagination, until one of them leaned closer. The fabric dipped inward, as if pressed by invisible skin. And then I saw it. A mouth. It was wide, far too wide, opening slowly into a hollow blackness. From that mouth came no scream, no sound at all. Just silence. A silence so deep, it devoured the crackle of the fire and the breathing of my friends. I wanted to cry out, to wake the others, but fear glued me in place. The pale faces multiplied, spreading along the tent walls like fungi. Their eyes appeared last. Two black pits that seemed to suck the light right out of the air. Then, a whisper, not from outside, but from inside the tent, right by my ear. "You shouldn't have stayed." I turned. Nothing there. But when I looked back at the tent wall, every face had turned toward me. And they were smiling. By morning, none of us could bear another minute in that cursed place. The faces, the whispers, the suffocating silence, they had stripped us of every bit of courage. There was only one thought left. Get higher, get above the mist. We grabbed our things with trembling hands, barely speaking, and fled the village. The forest swallowed us once again, but this time it felt alive, as if it was watching, closing in, hurting us deeper. The mist followed. At first, it clung low to the ground, sliding between the trees. But as we climbed, it rose too, faster than it should, curling upward like fingers reaching for our throats. Our breaths came sharp and ragged, lungs burning from the climb. Behind us, the forest no longer looked like a forest. It looked like a sea of fog, endless and boiling. And in that fog, we could see them. Figures. Hundreds, maybe more. All walking silently beneath us, their heads tilted back, eyes locked on us as we stumbled uphill. "Don't look back," I shouted, though my own eyes betrayed me every few steps. Each time, the figures were closer. Each time, the mist reached higher. Dennis tripped on a root and fell. His scream echoed through the trees, not because of the fall, but because pale hands reached out of the fog, clutching at his ankles. They pulled, slow but relentless, dragging him down. We tried to grab him, to pull him free, but the mist surged upward, swallowing his body. His face was the last thing we saw, eyes wide with terror, before the fog devoured him whole. And then, silence again. Only our ragged breaths and the endless climb, with the mist licking at our heels. We climbed until our legs turned numb, until our throats were raw from breathing the thin mountain air. At last, the trees broke away, and we stumbled onto the rocky ridge. Above us, the sky was bruised with dawn, pale light spilling over the peaks. For the first time in hours, hope flickered. The mist couldn't reach this high. Or so we thought. Below, the valley was gone. In its place rolled an ocean of fog, endless and seething, churning like something alive. From its surface rose faint silhouettes, countless figures swaying, watching, whispering words we could not hear. I counted the shadows beside me. There should have been 4. There were only 2. I don't remember when the others vanished. I don't remember if they screamed, or if they were simply swallowed in silence. Only the echo of their names haunted my ears. The mist climbed higher. Not fast, not rushing, but steady. Unstoppable. Its tendrils reached up the rocks, curling like pale fingers, searching for purchase. And then, through the rising fog, I saw him. Sasha. He was standing on the opposite ridge, his face pale, his eyes black voids that seemed to stretch forever. He lifted his arm, slowly, deliberately, and pointed at me. The mist surged. It wrapped around my ankles, cold as death, pulling, tugging me toward the edge. I fought, clawing at the rocks, but it was useless. The fog pressed into my lungs, filling me, choking me. And just before the sun broke over the horizon, just before the light could scatter the mist, I heard it. A voice right at my ear, wet and hollow, whispering the words I will never forget. "Now you belong to us." Darkness fell, and I don't remember if I ever woke up again. So, tell me, if the mist came for you tonight, Would you run, or would you follow the voices? Drop your answer in the comments if you're still here to reply.